Hello, hello. This is Howie here. Wednesday, January 15th. We have a sped up episode today. We got 1 hour because I have something to do. I got to go. That's life. Life beckons. So let's rock and roll, save the soul. I'm going to do a lot of politics today. It's basically like a news show, but it's never just news because it's always a commentary and opinion and some reflection. So, where am I today? I wake up thinking about fathers, men. How do we raise our children? And the thought that's on my mind is that we have to treat particularly women for some reason, right? Daughters, okay, because I have one, but also anytime we're dealing with women in our life, every woman, to think, how would do I treat this woman like my grandmother? Do I treat her like my mother? Do I treat her like my wife? Do I treat her like my daughter? Right? And always, 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 always protecting. The role of protector is monumental. I was talking to somebody. This has been on my mind last few days, and I ran into somebody, and he told me that he saw a clip, and he's kind of guy, not expecting to tell me what he saw on Instagram. And he said he got this clip, and it was from a nun, and the nun was saying that the role of the father is to open and close the door. Opens the door and decides who comes into the house, or closes the door and says stay out. Or if something's in the house or someone in the house that's unacceptable, boom, they give him the boot. That's it. That's the theme today, right? The theme is men, so obviously the show's for men and women, obviously. If you're a woman and you're listening, well, then, we're here to serve you, right? So it's service. It's always being charitable, being a gentleman, holding the door. If you have a son, teach him to hold the door. It only makes sense. We hold the door when someone's carrying a package. Polite, you open the door. Well, women's carry something. And if they're not carrying it right now, they will, or they potentially will. So whatever it may be, you teach your son to hold the door. And as men, we protect the women. It's not because they're weak. It's because they're precious. The majestic nature of the woman is to be celebrated. All right. So as I go into Real Clear Politics, I want to just quickly, I'm going to share and show you what's going on today. There's some good stuff. Some good stuff here. All right, Real Clear Politics. Let me make sure everybody sees what I see. Yeah, I think we do, right? Yeah, we're good. All right. All right, let's take a survey. Wednesday, January 15th, we got more stuff. President-elect Trump. We have the Hegseth confirmation hearings going on. Democrats are looking like fools as usual. Let's see. What else? We got the Los Angeles wildfires that continue. We have news about the economy. Inflation rises in December with prices up 2.9% from a year earlier. Of course, that's from a year earlier, which was already high inflation. Biden is a complete and he's an official disaster. Let's make it official. He's an official disaster, and history will not be kind to Joe Biden, and nor should it. Well, we should always be kind. But if you mean kind in lying, no, they won't. History should not be kind. It should be accurate and honest. And learn. Let's learn. Let's learn from our mistakes. Maybe Gavin Newsom can learn some mistakes. I got good stuff for you. Okay, what I'm going to start with, since on the theme of fathers and protecting children. So right now, the House passed a bill about protecting women's sports. But before I go into the passage of that bill, I'm going to share this with you. This is absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless. It's one of our fools. Let me go. Okay. It is AOC, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat, New York. And this is her speech. She expressed, this is Real Clear Politics, the way they put it, expressed her displeasure with the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act in a speech on the House floor. This was yesterday, okay? So let me share it with you. Let me play it. Hold on. I'm with you. Look how fast I am today. I'm like a rock star. I'm a rock star. By the way, look at my shirt. Can I tell you something before I start? You see this shirt? I was concerned about wearing this shirt because it has like a little bit of, I'm confessing this. I'm weak, it has like a little bit of rainbow theme here, and I'm thinking I don't want anything. And I'm like, who gave that permission to take over the rainbow? The beautiful rainbow that's on every preschool wall, and kids are drawing rainbows. The original sign of God's covenant with the world and new beginnings. Redeem the rainbow. I like that. Don't steal that from me. Redeem the rainbow. We need the rainbow back. The rainbow is something we should all be proud to wear. I shouldn't have to put on a shirt and be like, well, they might see the rainbow. Who cares? The rainbow is awesome. Give me my rainbow back. But what's so interesting about the rainbow, they had to keep adding different colors because of all the, the psychotic nature of the whole thing. And now it's like a really motley, ugly flag. I saw that I was up in Massachusetts the other day, and I was walking by a store, and I saw one of the, I guess it's the one with all the, and it's really an ugly flag. It's no longer the rainbow. In a sense, God redeemed his own rainbow anyway, because he's like, just keep adding colors and shades and you'll destroy, and it doesn't even resemble a rainbow anymore. But I want the rainbow back. The rainbow is a covenant from God who made them man and woman and become one flesh and reproduce and have children. Back to the theme. And fathers raise their kids. Compassion, of course. Patience, yes. But firm and steadfast in the truth. Like Joshua, right after Moses, Joshua. Right? Firm and steadfast in the truth. All right, here we go. I'm sharing AOC. Make sure you got it. Yeah, you got it. Okay, you got it. All right. This is cool. My mouse. Trouble with my mouse. All right, let me make it big. All right, let me play. Listen to this nutcase.
2 minutes to the gentlewoman from New York, Representative Ocasio-Cortez.
Gentle. Here she is. Look at her.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, Madam Ranking Member. Here we are today.
Hold on a second. I have to. Should she call her madam? Isn't that sexist? Is her pronoun madam? I don't know. I mean, if you're going to play this game, let's really play the game. She just called her madam. And by the way, watch the guy behind her. Watch his facial expressions. It's fantastic. This is what you get at the Howie Haynes Show. You get in depth. You get the guy behind her is where they're, look at that smirk. Look at that smirk on his face. And he should be smirking. I'd be smirking. I think I'd have to laugh out loud. I'm going to laugh out loud now. Go.
Republicans who have voted consistently against the Violence Against Women Act, who have taken away the right of all women to choose and have control over their own.
Lie. Voted to take away the right of all women to have choice over their bodies. What? When? When did they do that? The Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Okay. Returning the decision to the states. It was a Supreme Court decision. Overturned to the states. Many states that we would have thought would have maybe banned abortion have made it legal. The House and the senators did not ban abortion, and nor are they looking to. It was returned to the states. She can't speak 25 seconds without lying. Let's go.
Body, who, as women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country, standing there.
Women are bleeding out in parking lots across the country. Have you seen women bleeding? What is that? Women bleeding out in parking lots across the country. Have you been to Home Depot or Walmart recently? Have you seen all the women bleeding out? They're everywhere. It's amazing. It's almost as bad as LA. What is she talking about? If you voted for her, you live in her district, shame on you. You're a disgrace. You voted for this lady. You are a disgrace. You gotta wake up, be like, what is going on in my life that I voted for this? Listen to what she's saying.
Allowing us to die, now want to pretend today that they care about women. And why? To open up gender and, yes, genital examinations into little girls in this country in the so-called name of attacking trans girls. And to that, today, what we have to say are two words, not today.
She has two words to say, not today.
The majority right now says there's no place in this bill that says it opens up for genital examinations. Well, here's the thing. There's no enforcement mechanism in this bill.
All right. Listen, this whole idea that only biological men can compete in girl sports, and she said they're going to have physical examinations. Listen, when a child is born at the hospital, they're determined boy or girl, female or male. That birth certificate determines the biological sex. I don't think anybody at that point is identifying in a different manner. What is she talking about? Everybody can go get a copy, if not the original, right? A certified copy from their county or town or city, a birth certificate like you get with your passport. Male, female, done. No examinations. If you want to if you don't have that, or you want to do it in conjunction with an XY chromosome test, there you go. Done deal. What is she talking about? You know who has to have an examination of genitalia? How about the poor people that are the poor women that are in the women's locker room? And this guy walks in and he's going to shower and walk around naked, which he could because he's a woman, because he identifies that way. That's an examination? That's an examination of an insane person. This is what's so cool is like, let them keep talking. She still doesn't get it. But we have to listen. We have to listen because we can't argue with her. Like Rush used to say, you argue with an insane person, you sound insane. I'm just pointing out the comic nature, the insanity, the lies. That's right. So clear. Birth certificate. People aren't identified unless the parent, the child, infant, male or female, on the certificate. You get, like a USATF, USA track and field. You have to submit when you register a child for events and you give them membership. You have to submit a birth certificate to determine age because people lie and they'll compete in a different category, and gender. I mean, I don't know if that's still the case. That's the case it was when, maybe I guess 6-7 years ago when I had to register my child. And, so what's so difficult? This is all fabricated.
When there is no enforcement mechanism, you open the door to every enforcement mechanism.
There is an enforcement mechanism. I just said it. There's two. One is really simple.
Trans girls are girls. And
trans girls are not girls.
For all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen.
Concern for women for the first time. So everyone who's for this bill doesn't have any concern, has not had any concern up to this moment for their wives, daughters, mothers, grandmothers, neighbors, women on the street. They don't have any concern. It's so bombastic. It's so ludicrous. Look at the guy behind her. Look at him laughing. It's fantastic. She's an utter fool. An utter fool.
I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class.
I don't know about y'all. Isn't she from the Bronx?
Lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time.
Have you been to gym class? I've played co-ed. Yeah, so does that mean they're not mutually exclusive or exhaustive? I mean, you can play together, but we know what we're talking about. You're going to take the best male wrestler and the best female. Come on. Even Serena Williams says she can't even think about playing a professional male. She called it two different sports. Serena Williams, who would destroy most men, but when it comes to top men versus top women, sorry. Look at the times in track. Sorry, and long jump and foot. Sorry. Any serious woman athlete says this. Sorry. I'm an old guy, and I'm sure I can bench press probably, and I'm not very strong anymore. I could probably bench press a lot more than the strongest women. And that's not a boast. It's just that's a reality. That's just there's a male and female anatomy that takes place here. And when I say about the bench press, I don't know what women bench press. You know my point. Elite level athletes in any sport, male versus female, the results are different. So it's the fact that she plays some co-ed sports all the time. What a stupid, ludicrous point.
But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies.
All right, straw man argument. She's going to pretend. She's going to pretend that this is really about men, these conservative guys, trying to force women to act a certain way. In other words, like leave it to Beaver in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant, wear a dress. No! Who's saying any of that? By the way, I coach girls' sports, female sports, women's sports. I love them. I love women's sports. It's awesome. There's nothing better than a really strong female athlete. It's great. And I don't care how they dress. It does purple. Who cares? This is the opposite of what she's saying. It's protecting the right to be a woman at the most basic level, and then go express yourself any way you want. It's the opposite. It's saying that, no, what is a woman is a woman. That's it. You're defining a woman by actually what a woman is. Biologically, born, oh, girl, oh, boy. Congrats. You don't want to put up pink? Fine, don't put pink. You don't want to put blue up for the boy? Don't put blue up. You don't want to draw a stick figure with a triangle as a dress? Don't draw it. Don't. You don't want, okay. You want to dress like a man or whatever that means, you dress like a, okay. Doesn't change who you are and what you are physically and at the lowest chromosomal level. I'm going to end this. This is, let's see what else, other idiotic thing she has to say in the last. Let's see how dumb she can be in the next 21 seconds.
I know who loves this bill.
Oh, here it.
Yes, bigoted folks love this bill.
I know who love this bill. Bigoted folks. She's calling you a bigot. She's calling you a bigot. You know, I have had my child have to compete against men in, they call it non-binary category, female and non-binary, male and non-binary. The non-binary means the biological male at birth, boy, who decides he's a girl, can now compete again. I've had it. I have witnessed this in my own life. Is that bigoted? It's called sane. It's called sane.
Assaulters love this bill. But
assaulters love this bill. What a disgrace and insulting human being.
Also, CEOs love this bill.
CEOs.
Because Los Angeles is on fire right now. And this is the #1 priority this majority has.
What does that even mean? CEOs love this bill because California is on fire? All right, I'm going to stop sharing that. That was something. What a way to start, huh? We're 19 minutes in. I don't have much time left, but I had to go. Let's just go right to the bill, though. What did pass? Okay, let's report on some news. Good news. It's good news, man. This is NBC. Let me think. Okay, am I sharing? Yeah, we're good. Okay, here we go. NBC News. House passes bill to ban transgender student athletes from women's sports. This is NBC. Okay, let's see what they say. The measure, which only 2 House Democrats supported, amazing, heads to the Senate. This is from January 14th, yesterday, 6:14 p.m. So it's, it's right within about 12 hours, 13 hours ago, 14 hours, whatever. The House passed, this is by Kyle Stewart, Shnida Ashkar, and Zoe Richards. The House passed legislation Tuesday that would ban transgender athletes from participating in women's and girls' sports at schools and institutions receiving federal funds. Okay. The bill, which would also amend federal law to say, quote, sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth, close quote, was approved largely along party lines in a 218 to 206 vote. If you're a Democrat, can you believe this? Only 2 Democrats voted for this? That sex shall be recognized based solely on a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth. Baby born. Oh, it's a boy. Baby. Oh, it's a girl. That's it. That's the only limitation. That's it. There's no limitation. That's the reality. And 2 Democrats don't get it. They're just, we wanted a good, I always say, we want a good opposition party. You want a good competitor. They're pathetic. They're still not getting it. Only 2 Democrats voted for the measure, Henry Soler and Vincent Gonzalez. Representative Don Davis voted present, and no Republicans opposed the measure. The bill now heads to the Senate. This is Representative Greg Steube from Florida, who sponsored the legislation, said it was aimed at protecting women's sports. Quote, the distinction between men and women is clear and evident. Can you believe we even have to say these things? And the erasure of this division has been promulgated by those in the radical left, who seek to dismantle the core foundation of our society. That's a judgment call, but I tend to agree with him. Steube said on the House floor before the vote, we must never let our country and the American way of life surrender to this immoral ideology. Amen. Representative Lori Traham, Massachusetts, the only woman in Congress who played Division I college sports, said Republicans were using the measure to inject themselves into decisions they have no business making. What? Oh, yeah. And she's the only woman who played Division I college sports. I have long placed my trust in the governing bodies of sports, the experts who have dedicated their lives to these games to create fair and responsible rules for participation. Listen, we watched I don't know if it was the chairman or the president, I forget his title, of the NCAA. We talked about it on the show, and he defended the decision by NCAA to allow men to use women's locker rooms and bathrooms. So when you make those I'm sorry, man, something bigger has to step in. Talk about rights. These are civil rights. This is the right of a human. A female should be able to go to the bathroom without a man entering, be in the locker room without a man entering, to be able to participate in a sport. And I think what the Attorney General of Texas did was really smart. He's suing them for, I'm paraphrasing and I'm using my own words basically it's false advertising that you're saying here's a women's basketball game and there could be a man playing. So the ticket holders actually not getting what they paid for. And also, they're putting the burden on the spectator to wonder which one is them. They should be identified. We've gone over this. They should be identified. Why should the audience and the spectators they have to wonder which one's the guy? Which one's the guy? Is that a guy? That's not fair. Okay. By the way, you see this language she used here, Lori Trahan. She said, "I long placed my trust in the government bodies of sports, the experts." They love the word experts. Watch out for experts. That is a bureaucratic. That is a word that they use to take control from people. I mean, of course, we have experts, and we should have experts, and we should consult experts. But the idea that you hand over decisions to experts, it's like the COVID thing, right? It's not only the experts. There's the other factors. There's the faith life and the education life. You don't just hand it over to the experts. You get the experts' opinions on that specific the area that they are an expert in. You put it into the general pool of information and you make a decision based on that. You don't hand over the complete protocol for the U.S. government to address COVID based on just the experts in the medical field. You have to consider education and social and the personal liberties and freedom of speech and education and faith life. And you get experts from each of them. You put them together. Like I always use the sauce analogy. You're putting all kinds of things in and then you simmer and you taste. And the decision is a result of all the experts. That's smart human being. But this idea, trust the experts. No. You utilize what the expert can provide in that specific area, and you add that to the soup, and then you taste the soup and you make a decision based on your conscience that brings all these factors together. That's what an intelligent participant does. It's critical thinking. Watch that word. All right, so that's our news. Let's see what the Senate does. And we'll follow that. But hey, it's a step in the right direction. All right, so I stopped sharing that. Next, this is good. LA Times owner, we endorse Karen Bass. That was a mistake. Whoa. We had a New York reporter yesterday, a New York Times investigative reporter was showing some remorse about the coverage over Kavanaugh, Justice Kavanaugh years ago, right? We have, what's his name? Bezos didn't endorse anybody this year. The Washington Post didn't endorse major. And now he's praising Trump. Washington Post has changed. We want the media to change, not become conservative, to become journalists. And now, so you have the New York Times, at least one person we can see some. You have the Washington Post, and now the LA Times. These are the papers of record. These are major. This is a positive cultural shift. We are seeing change. We are seeing people listen to what he says. All right, let me bring this up. Let me share. Well, I got to keep moving. We're running out of time already. It's crazy. Keep with me, man. This is good stuff. We're on fire today. All right, let me play this. This is LA Times owner, and this is on Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong, the owner of the Los Angeles Times, talks with two-way Sean Spicer. He used to be the press secretary for Trump, about his regret in endorsing Karen Bass for mayor. It's 2 minutes and 40. Spicer goes on a little bit in the beginning, and then we'll play. So let me am I sharing this? Yeah, I'm sharing. Okay. And we go and we play.
And I know that during a difficult time like this, it's tough to talk about the politics and the policies, but I think it's hard not to. How do you think? I mean, I've seen more people that tweet and speak openly about the competence and the accountability among public officials in a way that I haven't from certain groups and people that normally wouldn't say certain things about the mayor or the governor. How much are they, in your opinion, to blame for the policies, whether it's things like the brush, the fire department, et cetera, et cetera? Because I feel like some of there's only so much you can do during the crisis, but I sort of, at least from out here on the East Coast, have seen more people in the LA community that probably were very supportive of Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass in the past, openly be critical of both of the two. Where is that line? Where is that line right now in the middle of a crisis, and how much are they holding them accountable?
Well, first of all, we'll accept some blame, right? So at the LA Times, we endorse Karen Bass. I think right now in front, that's a mistake, and we admit that.
All right, let's stop right there. All right, good for him. You see what they're doing? There's a major realignment going on. These guys, they know their papers are in trouble. They represent it's been uncovered. It's an apocalypse, not in the sense of the end of the world like we talk about, but Peter Thiel's point, it's an unveiling, unveiling of the truth. It's revealed. The realities that we've seen, but what seemed to be like denied, and we were suffocated by this false reality, has now been unveiled. The apocalypse, the showing of the reality of what face to face with the truth. Of course, in biblical terms, face to face with God, but this is face to face with reality, truth, authentic living. And here he is. He's taken some responsibility. This is amazing. This is a big story. This is a big story. Bezos, big story. Investigative reporter for the Times showing remorse about the passing Kavanaugh. Big story.
So I thought it was very important early on for me to come out. And I think we were one of the few to say competence matters. We got maybe 20, 23 million views to show how that was really dear to the heart of most people, whether you're right or left. And it's an interesting thing is that maybe we should think about how we elect people.
Competence matters. It's a reminder of just how off kilter we were that somebody has to say that. Competence matters. I mean, can you imagine we live in a world where somebody has to come onto a podcast, a man of his success, business world success, owning a paper of that significance, needs to make a proclamation. It's almost an apology to admit that competence matters. And maybe we should start electing people based on their ability to actually govern, in the sense of being competent administrators. Never forget where we have been and where we are. It's not just that he's saying it, but that he has to say it. That is spellbinding.
On the basis of, did they actually run a job? Did they actually make a payroll? Do they understand what it is? And rather than having professional politicians whose only job is really to run for office, there's nothing, I'm not trying to be disparaging, but I think we're at the stage now of the nation and the world, and there's many things we'll talk about even in healthcare, that you really need people to understand, well, how it affects the man in the street, how it affects the working type of person. And I think President Trump in this election has understood that, and he's become truly the Republican Party, as you said, has become the Democratic Party in terms of addressing the problems of the man in the street. So competence absolutely matters, and I'm glad that that's been taken up as almost a meme now, that competence matters.
You've been very clear.
All right, so there you go. Competence matters. Let's keep moving on. Two thoughts. Trump has radically changed things. When he came in, that was his whole approach. Remember Forbes used to run for president every year? It's like, and the idea that put a businessman who, and there it is. It's just flushed out. Okay? And this is, like him or not, the landscape has changed, and it's changed for the better. Who can disagree that competence matters? That a man who makes payroll, how many people in the Senate, Mitch McConnell and Harry Reid of past, and make payroll, have the responsibility of creating value in their companies that results in a monetary form, dollars, and have to pay people so they can pay their rent and feed their kids. It's a huge responsibility. Musk, this is what Musk, the whole thing, right? Get the government out of everything. Get it out. Can't go to space. Only government can go to space. No, private company to space. Oh, he doesn't understand the needs of the real people. He doesn't understand the needs of all his employees. When the Democratic congressmen or senators criticize Trump, Musk, how could he possibly understand the normal day-to-day life of an American? Think about what you're saying. They live in a completely insulated world, non-reality, where they don't have to make payroll. They have no responsibility, because anything they do is never accounted for. They live off the government, where a man, who's a billionaire for sure, his company has to provide salaries and benefits for those people directly. But he has they have a better, they are the ones who have no idea. They have no idea what it's like to make a payroll, as the LA Times owner is saying. All right, let's move. Now, listen, let's quickly, Joy Reid. There's another one that I cannot believe how dumb she is. But let's quickly show this, and I'm going to tell you why I want to show it. Watch what she says. And it's only like 10. I'm going to show like 10 seconds of it, because, you got to. Ready? Here we go. Watch Joy Reid.
Fire, but also the lies about the fires. The lies spread not just by the incoming nominal president, but also by his boss, Shadow President Elon Musk, who tried and failed over the weekend to get a...
All right, that's all I'm playing. You know why? Watch, I'm going to play it again. Watch. Couple words, I'm going to stop. Watch.
The people of Los Angeles are fighting not just a fire, but also the lies about the fires. The lies spread...
Okay, so this is going to be the refrain. The ones who panic. The LA Times owner obviously is on the reality side, which is, we got to call these people out. They haven't done their job. They're going to say this is all lies. It was a natural thing that was beyond anybody's. There's nothing anybody could have done to prepare for this. And the billionaire. And here it comes. Listen.
Not just by the incoming nominal president, but also by his boss.
Incoming nominal. Right? nominal, by name only, right? But his boss, President Trump's boss,
Shadow President Elon Musk,
Shadow
who
President
tried and failed
Elon
over the
Musk. All right? That's what I wanted to show you. I'm leaving it. But we need to keep conscious that this is what they're going to do. They're going to continue to use the word billionaire. Expert, I pointed that word out. Pay attention. You hear the word expert? Antenna. They're up to something. Experts don't make decisions. Experts give you information in their field for you to make a decision. You don't hand over. That's the danger. That's the that's the like 1984 type. That's AI taking over. That's scary. Experts don't make decisions for you. Experts give you expert advice and opinions if they can be trusted. And that's why reputations matter in a specific area for you to digest and make a decision based on the totality of your circumstances and facts and spirit and faith and everything puts together. You taste the sauce. Okay, that's how it tastes to me. I make this decision. That's discernment, the spiritual process of making decisions. It's a complicated thing, but it's not complicated in the sense that it's complicated in many, many parts, many factors, simple in that when they're all together and they simmer long enough in silence. Remember yesterday, I with my book here, you sit in silence. You create space where it's quiet. That's the simmering. And then you come out of that silence. That's the tasting. Yeah, I made this decision. This is what I'm doing for my family. We're going to move. I'm going to take this job. I'm going to stay at this position, whatever it may be. Same with government. We need to make decisions based on the totality of the circumstances and the facts, not by expert. So expert is a word to watch out for. Billionaire is another, as if it's a sin to be a billionaire. Of course, listen, we always have to watch out for influence of very powerful people in terms of their financial muscle. But certainly there are many Democrats that have plenty of money as well. Okay, so that, and the shadow president, that's a ploy to go after Trump's ego. They want Trump and Musk to fight because they're so afraid of Musk. Okay, all right, next story. Here we go. With 38 in, we got to keep moving. All right, let's see. What do we got? What do we got? This is good. This is good. So as the Washington Times change and Joy Reid is a mess, this is a quick one I'm going to show because it's the trend of the culture and how it's going to go ebb and flow. And not everybody is going to go on the same side. So I'm sharing, right? All right. Head of infamous Information Disorder Commission promoted at NPR. This is from Racket News. All right. What's important about this is that, remember I talked about Van Jones being an honest Democrat, and the Democratic Party is in bigger trouble than they think. They didn't just lose an election. They're going to split. They're going to split. The Democratic Party is going to split because you're going to have lunatics like AOC and Joy Reid who stay on that side, and Karen Bass and Newsom. They're going to stay. They're going to hold that line, the insanity line. And then you're going to have Van Jones, people who are going to wake up. You're going to have Joe Manchins who are going to wake up, who have woken up. And so you're going to have, and then you're going to have some business owners like Bezos or this New York Times investigative reporter who starts to have remorse, or the LA Times owner. You're going to have businessmen who are really Democrats. They've always endorsed Democrats. He endorsed the Democratic mayor, the disaster Bass. And now he's like, okay, I regret it. It was wrong. So that's the one side. The other side of the Democratic Party is going to remain insane. And you're going to have decisions on here. Here's a decision to remain insane. NPR, head of infamous Information Disorder Commission promoted at NPR. A Twitter Files all-star and former head of an Aspen Institute panel on content suppression is moved up the ranks at National Public Radio. This is my Taibbi. I never know how to say his name. Taibbi. January 14th, he was the Twitter Files guy. All right. I'm just going to quickly read a paragraph. Amid a busy Newsday Monday, a familiar figure was named Chief Operating Officer at National Public Radio. Ryan Merkley, who directed the Aspen Institute's Commission on Information Disorder and also appeared in the Twitter Files as Wikimedia's liaison to industry meetings with federal law enforcement, was elevated to the top job by NPR President Titania McGrath clone Catherine Mayer. Okay. So not going deeper into that. NPR, they're not going to change. They're not going to change. This is their decision. You can see, you need to know where people are falling. The great new papers we have, like I told you, with the Tablet, or the fun newspaper like the Country Highway or Unheard, right? What was it? Some of the other ones. The New York Post actually does a good job. Okay, so you need to know what sources. Somebody gave me a great compliment. I have to boast a little bit. I have to, because thank you for subscribing. Please subscribe, share, like, comment, emails. But somebody said something to me, and I'm going to share it with you, and I'm touched by it. That they said, like, they trust Howie politics. Of course, look, I'm just, it was kind of a joke. But like, there's a lot of information out there. Not everybody has time to go through everything. And that's what I'm trying to go through for us, for myself, and then sharing it. I'm not trying to proclaim or preach. All I'm doing is trying to live an intelligent life, be a participant, taste the soup, put the factors in, taste the soup. But if it's true for me, then I believe it's true. Then it's truth. Then it's true for others. Doesn't mean it has to be. You have to accept it. But that's why I share. Not because I know something that you don't know. No. If I'm discovering something and I feel like it's really worth something, I want to share. So I'm sharing. And people are responding. So that was a great comment. That they kind of showing some, they appreciate where I'm coming from, and that they're kind of, it's humbling to say, trusting me a little bit to weed out which publications to look at. And we're identifying some really good ones. All right. Next, 42 minutes in, we're rocking, we're rolling. Here we go. We did the NPR. Now we're doing this one. Ready? Look at this. News Roundup. News Nation with Howie. All right. Here we go. California. What's going to happen with California? Am I sharing? I'm sharing. All right. The Hill. The Red State in California's Future by Merrill Matthews, opinion contributor. This was on the 14th, yesterday at 7:30 a.m. There's Newsom, always looking like the governor. Look at him. Look at him. He really is a Californian, isn't he, right? He's so busy looking cool. He's so busy looking cool. He's got the bear. I guess it's a bear, right? On his shirt there. The California bear. All right. Here we go. Quickly. There are two likely results from the disastrous wildfires burning in the Los Angeles area. First, thousands of Californians who lost their homes will respond to the tragedy by moving from the worst managed state in the country to a red state with its lower taxes and cost of living and more political sanity and accountability. I agree. A lot of people are just going to leave. They have been leaving. They will continue to leave. I just hope they don't bring their politics with them. Right? I love when these people, they leave a liberal state like New York, New Jersey, they go down and they try to destroy the state they're in. They bring their policies with them. Don't bring your policies. Leave, admit it. California's a disaster, and leave. Go ahead, leave. It's a disaster. Not just because of LA and God, and we pray for all those people, man. It's just awful. Absolutely awful. Awful. And really do. We pray for those families, and it's terrible. It's a traumatic. It's Victor Davis Hanson called it Dresden. It's like Dresden in our own nation, but it's self-inflicted. Of course, there's the natural element, but the lack of preparation for these kind of events that are predictable, that they knew were coming. And where was she? Ghana. All right. The second possibility. Those who remain in California will begin the effort to oust some of the incompetent elected leaders and vote in more responsible people. That's the second choice. They start to act. Remember, Reagan won California. Reagan was from California. Is it possible? They elected Schwarzenegger. Wasn't exactly, he was a Republican. It wasn't exactly conservative. Okay. Two choices. What will happen to California? What do you think? Send me your opinions on that. Either way, there's a good chance that a red state is in many, perhaps most Californians' future. The California exodus, he's got some numbers here, has already been going on for years. A poll conducted by Emerson College and released last October found about 56% of respondents said they have considered leaving California due to the high cost of living. 56% considered leaving. A KTLA news story added that California had the highest median single-family home price in the U.S., and California drivers pay more for gasoline than those in other states. By the way, California was, you know, and you were talking about Dylan yesterday and Walt Whitman, and I mentioned Ralph Waldo Emerson, and at the end of his life, he traveled. I remember I read a biography of Emerson, and it just struck me. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like he went out to California, and he said, the days are better in California, and there are more of them. I mean, California is in the terms of the state, what it was and is in terms of geography and weather and the soil, and it's just such a painful example of what the woke progressive agenda can do. All right, when the agenda is not policies that actually work, like competence matters, but insane policies matter above everything. It trumps everything else. All right. That explains why, talking about the gas prices and the single home price is the highest. That explains why 690,000 Californians, that's a lot, moved to other states between 2022 and 2023. Wow. Whereas only 422,000 people moved from other states to California. So there's a net loss, a big loss of 250, roughly 250,000 people lost, for a net overflow of approximately 270,000. My math wasn't bad. Texas was the top choice for relocating Californians. Don't destroy Texas. But many other, mostly red states, also saw an influx of Californians, including Idaho, Utah, and Florida. Many Californians who might have considered leaving have perhaps refrained because they would have to sell houses they may have lived in for years or leave schools, churches, or synagogues they were attached to. Still others would miss friends and family who live locally. Let's see. I'm not going to go on and read the whole story, but it's important for us, again, as this happens, let's see what happens. You know, I think people are going to leave. I think both are going to happen. Well, it depends. If the people who would vote for change leave, then there won't be anybody left to vote. California might just become the state of the insane, just complete and utter insane. Well, because even the people that were there to balance things out might just leave. So we'll see. Either they leave, or things change, or a combination thereof. But it'll be a lot. Just like we watch California to see where the nation goes in terms of progressive policies, we also see what happens with California in terms of what happens with the Democratic Party. There's my take. As we watch what the Democratic voter does in California, it'll help us understand what's going to happen to the Democratic Party. That's my insight right now. That's going to tell us something. Is it going to be the LA Times owner who's repenting? He's basically repenting. He was wrong. And I have to admit, competence matters. Bizarre that we're in a position where people have to admit that. It's insanity. That's prima facie. That's the basic. I always use the pizza place down the street. Go to the pizza place, ask the local pizza guy, do you want a competent pizza maker? I mean, it's obvious. Who would ever hire somebody who's not competent? And yet we vote people in all the time that are not competent. All right, never made a payroll, as he said. All right, next story. We did the California. This is good. Now, all right. Now, as we talked, the LA Times, he spoke about competence and how Trump, making a payroll, which is basically showing it's Trump. It's a businessman coming in, and it's Musk coming in. It's Ramaswamy coming in. Now, Mark Andreessen has been someone who's really we've been talking about a lot on the show. A tech guy who said basically his view about Trump was not that he's celebrating, but he's saying, he's happy, of course, Trump won, but like that he had to endorse Trump because the other alternative wasn't accepted. This wasn't what do you think? This way, that way. No, it just wasn't acceptable because of the Biden administration approach to AI. The government's approach to AI was terrifying. So Andreessen, a sigh of relief. And hopefully the last 10 years become nothing but just a bad dream. So here he is. All right, I'm going to show a post. It's it was posted on Twitter, X, by Kenakoa the Great. This guy puts up a lot of good links, and he's got a poke balls from Mark Andreessen, an interview, and it was with the Hoover Institute. I'm going to play the interview, just his comment, and then we'll listen to it. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. I like this guy, Mark Andreessen. I like these guys. These guys are. I don't. It doesn't mean I have to like every aspect of his life. I don't know every aspect of his life. When he talks about AI and when he talks about the freedom of speech and the role of government and the Trump and Biden situation, I like him. I like him a lot. Okay, so here we go. Let me share. We're going. Oh boy, we're there. We're almost out of time. We're running. Let's go. All right, we got Mark Andreessen at the Hoover Institute, posted by, I want to give credit. This is posted by Kenakoa the Great on X. All right, here we go.
This would be, he is world-class on real estate and on communications. And those are sort of his foundational skills. And those are, he's world-class on both, which is like...
All right, hold on. He's talking about Trump, okay? He's world-class. He's talking about Trump. I didn't establish that.
My analysis would be, he is world-class on real estate and on communications. And those are sort of his foundational skills. And those are, he's world-class on both, which is like probably the first person in the world to be world-class on both of those things, right? The real estate industry is not historically known for its great communicators. Here you've got somebody who does both of those things incredibly well. He, as a consequence of his knowledge of real estate, and by the way, his also involvement in the communications industry, where he was, one of the huge winners of the last 20 years with what he did on, with what The Apprentice, which is a very large business. He very, very deeply understands business. And, as one of the questions always, in Washington is like, wow, there's a lot of lawyers running around, and wow, there are very few people here who have actually held a job in the private sector, and there are very few people here who have ever actually run a company.
Well, same thing. LA Times guy just said, right? Very few. Wow. And in Washington, there's very few people who've ever held a job, a real job outside the political sector, or who've ever owned a company.
And responsible to investors or had customers, right?
Responsible to investors or to customers, like a la my statement about Musk. Responsible to your employees to provide benefits and actually produce a product that generates wealth that results in financial benefit, money to be paid out.
And so he is also one of the most successful business people, of our time. So, I would say those are like three.
Real estate, communication, right? The Apprentice, communication, real estate, businessman, has owned companies, had investors and employees.
Very powerful skills. Okay. And then I think what you learn, especially when you're good, for sure when you're good at real estate and when you're generally good at business as he is, I think you learn how to do, what we call systems thinking. Like you have to, these large real estate, my father-in-law was sort of a Trump, kind of generational peer in real estate. And John Arriaga. Yes. And like talking to John, like when John put up one of these towers or one of these campuses, or when Trump put up, one of these giant hotels or whatever, like these are large scale systems projects. Like, there's many, many dimensions. There's many things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that have to line up. There's huge management complexity to it. By the way, there is technology change because you've got all these things coming at you and solar and, all these new things coming in and all these requirements. And you got to like manage these. One of the things these guys, my father-in-law always told me, and Trump clearly was the same way, is you got to manage these things hands-on because they can always go sideways. And any given day, you're sitting there bleeding out money if people aren't doing the right thing. And so they're good. He's very good, I think, world-class at thinking things through systematically. And all
right, systems, right? I've spoken about this with a lot of people. If you know any developers, right? A developer. Right? He's saying real estate, but really the word developer, I think, is more, he's not just investing in buildings, he's developing properties and hotels and major skyscrapers and major cities and major golf courses and casinos. Systems, the complexity of these projects. The project manager is a tough job. You have to be hands-on. Because you're not just dealing with bankers or investors and white collar people. You're dealing with the tradesmen and the municipalities and the city, the laws and bylaws and restrictions and unions. It's endless. And the systems. Actually, a real estate developer is probably in that sense, doesn't mean they should be politicians, but in that sense, managing a municipality, in many ways, it's a great fit. Because the complexity of developing buildings, major projects, especially in cities, is an incredible experience and very difficult. This is all Trump has done. So the business side, the entertainment side, the communication side, and the systems side, the complexity.
We were talking before about there's this video going around today of him talking about the water situation in California.
Yes.
On Joe Rogan, like what was that, 6 months ago or whatever.
I said, why did he have no water? Because the water isn't allowed to flow down.
And at the time, you know, this is one of those classic Trump things where at the time everybody's like, why is he going on and on about the water situation in California? And then, of course, in the last 3 days, as we talk, you know, LA is burning down. And if you listen to what he talked about with the water situation in California, it's like, yeah, that's all correct. Like, he is exactly 100% correct. He did the same thing, by the way, if you remember, in the first term when he diagnosed the German energy situation.
Yes.
To the face of the German diplomatic corps at the United Nations.
You people are going to become dependent on Russia, and that will be a disaster for you. And it has been.
And it has been. And if you go back and if you forget who did it, or if you just read the transcript and you read it, you're just like, wow, that was a really good it was an extremely precise and accurate and very prescient 5-minute analysis of this systems problem, which is where's the energy coming from? How's it going? What's going to happen here? What happens if we turn off nuclear? Same thing in California. What happens to the water and this and that, and the whole thing.
This is really a fantastic point, right? So 6 months ago, he's talking about the water, and people do tend to, sometimes Trump goes off on these things and they don't know why he's pointing them out. And it's not to make him out to a prophet. It's not like he's foretelling the future in a like fortune teller way. But there is in a sense, prophetic part, and I don't mean biblically prophetic. I mean by the way, the word prophet is really interesting, and I think we sometimes need to understand what prophecy is. I'm not saying Trump is exercising prophecy, but there's an understanding of what actually prophecy is. People think it's foretelling the future. It's not. It's seeing things as they are that will result in consequences. And if other people don't see the way things are, they won't see the consequences. Follow me? So if somebody does see the things the way they are now, and therefore says, well, those are going to be the consequences, and then those consequences come to fruition, they're like, oh, you told the future. And that's kind of what Trump, because he's so involved in these kind of systems and these complex projects or infrastructure combinations, that he can look at and say, Germany, this is going to be a big problem coming. Wow, it's almost like he's prophetic. Well, because he could predict the future. He accurately sees the present. He accurately saw the present 6 months ago regarding the water in California. He didn't predict the fires. He accurately saw what would lead to a consequence that was exhibited in the fires. He accurately saw the German and Russian relationship that would result in the circumstances that would result, the consequences that would result if Germany made those decisions. It's called being smart. It's called being aware and making observations and not being an expert. It's it all comes back. It's about using the experts to give you the information for you to make the decision to say, this is how things are, and these are the consequences. So if we don't want those consequences, we better change how things are. It's really a beautiful example. The Democrats are going to talk about experts and billionaires, okay, and dig deep into the woke stuff. The reality people, the Mark Andreessens, the Elon Musk, the owner of the LA Times, Bezos, are going to say, we understand because we work in these complex situations. Trump is a very good, very smart, and he's focused. He has a crazy degree of focus and work ethic to constantly, and Musk does the same thing. Look, gather all the information from the experts, not hand it over to the. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is important. You don't hand anything over to experts. I'm leaving early today so my wife can receive chemotherapy. We are not handing over her health to them. They are the experts who give us information, and then we align it to everything else, and then we make a decision. You don't just blindly, because that's just one aspect. There are other aspects of life we need as a family, as a unit, as a marriage, and then you make a decision. All right, let's listen to the last minute here.
And so he's like really good at wrapping his head around these things. I would say at Energy, this is the other thing is he's now obviously been president for 4 years, and so he learned about things to enormous depth. And so I like I'm not an energy guy, but my energy conversation with him, he's extremely sophisticated. The energy people I know that he's sophisticated. So he wraps his head around these things, I think, very quickly and easily. And so I don't expect of him that he's going to be coding, large language models in his spare time. But I think he's extremely capable of being able to understand these things, and I think actually does quite well. Okay. My analysis would be
that last part is really great. Okay. So he's saying that he has these skills, entrepreneurial skills and communication skills, and he's been in entertainment. He's a systems guy. He can manage complex things. He has the ability to see the way things are in order to see the consequences. And because he's been president for 4 years, he now has that data and that information about that specific system. And he sees it how it is. And after 4 years of being in it, studying it, seeing it, and then 4 years of being out of it, it's almost better than being reelected. Because reelected, it's so continuous that space of 4 years allows him to really see it as it is, see the consequences, say we don't want those consequences, so we change these circumstances to get the consequences we want, which is a return to a nation that is great. Make America great again. Entrepreneurial spirit, rewarding meritocracy, and hard work, and new ideas, and innovative, brave, courageous. The American spirit we spoke about yesterday. The creative spirit of the Bob Dylan, of the Walt Whitman, of the self-reliance of Ralph Waldo Emerson. Go out there, work hard, be faithful to your God and your family. And I began this with protect your children. And if you're not a father, there's other children for you to protect. If you're a man, protect the children in your life. And that child isn't always under 18. There it is. See everybody in your life as a potential child, not because you're superior to them, because it's a way to be kind and compassionate. Protect everybody in your life. Be a protector. Be your leader. What an army we have, right? If you have a whole unit of men who are caring for each other as if each other are their children. Because you know when you have kids, you know how you care for them. You put everything aside for them. If you don't have your own kids, you know how it is with nieces and nephews or whatever it may be. But if we can start to think, I need to protect my wife and my children and my neighbors. I need to protect. Doesn't mean to close in on yourself. It means what that nun said in the very beginning of my message today. The Father opens the door and closes the door. Men open doors and close doors. They open doors. You have to decide what you let in. You have to close the door for what you don't want to come in. And if there's something already in and you want out, you have to open the door and push it out. It's similar to the assessment of the facts as they are. We all can be prophets in that sense, not predicting the future, but clearly seeing the present as it is. And how does that happen? Through prayer, through silence. I don't care if you call it prayer or meditation or contemplation. This morning, I began my day, and this isn't a boast. It's a reality. The first thing I do when I get up in the morning, and I pretty much every day, maybe there's sometimes I forget, not really. I go on my knees. And you know what? I don't go on my knees to pray. Getting on my knees is the prayer. Think about that. It is the prayer. I don't have to go on my knees and then say something, or maybe I do, but I don't have to. The act of going to your knees, putting your head to the floor, is the prayer. It's a physical acknowledgement of your humility. From dust you come, from dust you shall return. That this physical body will die. My soul will live on. Where it goes and how it interacts with my body now is up to me, is up to the time I spend in silence, of putting the technology on, and of sharing with you my love for life, my love for truth, my love for beauty, and I love you guys. I got to go. Life beckons. All right. We'll talk to you soon.